I didn't think this was going to be something worth recording, but I was wrong. I'm at a callback right now that uh, I'm gonna just be straight up honest. Jacob was here, but I think Jacob got the diagnosis right, in the property management. The property management's maintenance man is thinking we got the diagnosis wrong. Um, all I did was just break out the meter real quick and try to reconfirm what Jacob found, and I'm finding the same issues. So I'm gonna show you guys right now what was going on. All right, now oddly enough, this light keeps flickering on and off. That one down there stays on, but this one right here is just going crazy. But right now, the issue that we found like back late April, like one of the last 2 weeks of April, this furnace Jacob found wasn't getting power to it at all. Right now, I just got the thermostat off. There's normally sometimes a power switch on the outside of the closets here, but there isn't one. Let me grab a light real quick. There isn't one. However, in here, I remember Jacob calling me about this. He removed the light switch and hardwired it just so we could confirm it was the breaker. And right now, let me pull my meter back out. I'm gonna hope. Let me make sure this camera's catching it. Yeah. And where's the ground? I'm gonna try and use just this screw right here as the ground. I'm gonna undo the wire. Now all the breakers are on. Everything is live. But I'm just gonna unscrew this a little bit so I can fit my probe in here. It's in there. I can hear it touching the metal. I don't have any voltage to a ground. Nothing, nowhere. Let me try to be safe and get the ground in there. I'm touching the ground wire inside the electrical box, and I'm getting nothing. All right, so that's what I found when I first got here. Oh, and this light is flickering. So the tenant told me where his breaker panel was, and is there a light switch in here? Okay, that's it. Now this panel isn't labeled the best, but I'm assuming that blower, which is the second little 15 amp breaker right here. Let me adjust my light on my hat. We got the AC on a 30 right here, bunch of other 15s right here, range, dryer, hall bed, whatever. But kitchen dining room is this top one. This is blower. I'm assuming the blower means furnace, because nothing on this piece of paper saying furnace, nothing here. But everything appears to be all the way hard on, like not loose, not anything. But the blower one, if I can get close right here, you see it's kind of wiggling. It's not all the way on. I don't know if this means it's tripped. I'm gonna flip it off and flip it back up. Now it's on. So let's go see if we've got power now. Doo-doo-doo. Stick that in there. Now I got my 120. So now I'm gonna try and push this back up in here all gently. When I'm done with everything, I'll put that cover back on. But right now it seems like I'm gonna just have to test for 120 right there. Put this up here. Give me some light entirely. this panel off. Put this over here. Take this bottom panel off. And all I'm gonna do right now, because I don't know why that breaker is tripping like that. Move some of this stuff out the way so the blower doesn't pick it up. Get my screwdriver. Oh no. Oh no. Screw up there. Screwdriver back in the bag. And I'm gonna find the... Oh, well, I guess I don't really have to do that. Because they've got the incoming power wires ran down there, I can just clamp... Where's the black one? Clamp the black wire off the door switch. Oh, come on. Come on. Where does that black wire go? All the way over here. Pull some of this slack up off this wire. I'm gonna leave this right here, but put this door back on so I can explain what I'm trying to do at least. All I want to do right now is just see what the amp draw on the system is. The low voltage shouldn't really pull anything harming to that breaker at all, but you know, if the blower motor kicks on, if it's grounded or something, that'd probably be the main thing to trip that breaker. But it didn't seem tripped. Like I was still able to move it forward. You know, most of the time if you come across a tripped breaker, you can't just flip it all the way on. You got to flip it all the way back off and then flip it back on. So it kind of, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. But we're gonna set this up here like that. Or not. I'm just gonna run amps, wait for that to 0. Anybody else's meter do this? I notice this happens every time I put my thing to amps. Let's just put this on. Whoo! All right. Think we might have found the issue. Think we might have found the issue, and let's see if it did it again. Now it's still on. I'm gonna flip it off. Maybe Jacob wasn't right. Maybe this is our issue. So why would the blower motor be doing that? Oh, it smells terrible down here. It smells almost like something electrically caught on fire. And it probably did by the sound of that motor. Is this soot? Is that soot? No. I think I'm gonna end up having to pull this blower out. All right, so what I think is happening is I think somehow this thing's grounded. This is gonna be like the first time I've ever really tried a test like this before because I haven't. Oh my god. Let me put this right here. And bam. All right. So first time ever trying something like this, but I'm gonna try and treat this like if I was checking for a grounded compressor, right? That's the way that I'm thinking about this. So I'm gonna take all the motor wires except for neutral, because it's pretty much just ground itself anyway, because we're only dealing with a 120 volt motor here. I've got my high speed, low speed, medium something. Doesn't really matter right now. And we're just gonna test each probe to ground. Let me grab this right here. I'm gonna clamp on to the, I guess any one of these freaking screws will do, but I'll just do the ground one just for now. So from ground to low speed. Oh, my meter's not even on. Come on, Austin. All right, it works. Path is through my wires are good. To low speed, we got 20.9 ohms, so it's getting continuity to ground there. Right, low speed's bad. Medium. Medium's okay. I don't know if that's medium high or medium low. I think blue is medium high on this. Orange. Resistance. Black. Continuity. Everything except for the blue wire has continuity to ground. That motor is bad. So I know exactly how this diagnosis came to be, at least like from Jacob's original one. A lot of the time when we diagnose systems, if we come to a unit that has no incoming voltage, like, you know, if it's a package unit and we don't have 240 to the disconnect, but the indoor breaker's on, you know, we'll tell them to call an electrician. We don't go into breaker panels. I have worked for companies in the past that will go into breaker panels. I got nothing against it, just the one that I work at currently, we don't go into breaker panels. If we don't have power coming to the system, but the breaker is on, we tell them call an electrician. So with that being said, considering how the chain of events just went for me, I think when Jacob was here initially, you know, he went through the same thing I did. You check for your incoming power. If you don't have your incoming 120, you know, but the breaker is on, you know, we just chalk that up as a bad breaker. We come across a lot of them in these rundown rentals that, you know, rarely ever get updated, aside from just a fresh coat of paint and some new floors and terrible electrical wiring. But nonetheless, you know, so I took it the step further, especially when I first came in and saw that that breaker was like kind of tripped, kind of not. That kind of set something off in my head, like that's weird. And then even when the blower came on, my meter looked like when the blower motor came on, it said like 60 something amps. Which I just like immediately was like red flag. And then, you know, I heard the pop, 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 and then it just cut off. Well, you know, when I went back to the breaker at the panel, the breaker wasn't tripped, it was still on. So I think that's exactly how that tricked Jacob. And I'm not gonna fault him for that and say like, oh, he should have caught it. I mean, anybody could sit here and say like, you got to do your due diligence. He should have tried to cut it back on, or cut it off and reset it, whatever the heck, you know. But I'm not gonna say that. This is something that I even called the office before I started recording on the GoPro, like, hey, I think Jacob actually got this right, but I'm gonna just triple check everything to the best that I can to just make sure this isn't on us. And it is. So I'm running right now to Johnstone to get a blower motor for this unit, because I don't carry blowers on the truck. I just can carry condenser fan motors. So with all that being said, I will see you guys when I come back to replace the blower. All right, y'all, I got the new blower motor in. Everything's secured. The boys at Johnstone gave me a new 20 microfarad capacitor for this motor. I double checked behind it without pulling the board off, because I hate the little plastic tabs and stuff on the back of them. But I just took my flashlight and looked around the back to see if anything was touching to the frame of that. You know, maybe the board had an issue. I didn't see anything except for a little bit of dust. But we're gonna try and do this again and see what happens. God, this light up here is just keep on flickering. So I'm gonna go to the breaker, make sure this is all off. Flip the power back on. Boom. That breaker still does seem loose though. I will say that much. All right. Thermostat to fan on. And we are going to okay, why is the blower not coming on? I heard everything click like it was supposed to, but the blower's not on. Is the battery gonna be an issue? Let me change these batteries. Well, I'm not exactly 100% sure what happened. I get the 24 volt call for the fan, you know, from the thermostat from G to Common. I get that, but the fan's not coming on. I don't hear any humming from the fan motor, so I don't know if that last attempt at powering it up, you know, before the thing just went to the graveyard, I don't know if that killed it or killed the terminal on the board. That tape's not gonna be strong enough. That sucks. All right, so I guess I'm just gonna do this the old-fashioned way. This doesn't have a dedicated fan or continuous fan, like terminal for the fan motor. So what I think I think the blower motor operates off the heat side if you turn the thermostat to fan on. So what I'm going to do, just to see if it's the board that's causing this issue now, because I'll be able to at least get them cooling, or, you know, I'll be able to get them something if this becomes an issue. Go from here on the board, if I can. So I've got my probe on heat terminal, and I'm going to just press this in. It's calling, I can hear the click. I don't have 120 coming out of that terminal. Now let me just double check that it isn't coming off the cool either, just to verify that. Nothing. And just to prove to you guys that I still got 24 volts, let me go ahead, or, you know, like the call for G, and put that right there on Common on the bottom. Press this in, and go ahead and press that. I go to G, 28 volts. So I think this board is also bad now. Now, I don't know how that happened in just the moment of me trying, you know, maybe that last attempt at me trying to figure out the initial problem here messed up that board. But I know a way I can still get this motor going to be able to at least get these people going for the weekend. Because I'm too far away from the supply house to go make another trip. So I'm gonna be right back. All right. So now, all I did was just add a 4-pin relay right here. And all I'm gonna do is just, I've got the other 2 fan terminals are on park. That neutral is down there. I've got the speed tap I was using for heat just off right now. I'll secure that better before I'm done. But pretty much whenever there's a G call, and I have had this work on furnaces as well, like in gas heat mode, whenever G gets 24 volts, it's going to pull in that relay, and I'm going to get the 120 that I have tied in from the hot side of the transformer sent to the medium high speed for the blower motor. I'm only running it like this just to get the tenant through the weekend. We'll be back Monday or Tuesday to replace the board. I'll give Johnstone another call, but just to confirm that this works, and take another amp draw of everything. I still got the thermostat calling for fan on. Comes right on. Bingo boingo. Let me get the panels on, clean up this mess, and we will test the system in AC mode just to make sure that the unit is also cooling, because it's supposed to be pretty darn hot this weekend. Panel is all on. Let's go ahead and cut this thing to cool. I heard the condenser on. Oh, I didn't even get a chance to show you guys this. You see how big this unit is, right? Like how wide it is. But if you look up to the top, they've got that corner panned off. That entire, probably going all the way down that, yeah, all the way down the end of the coil that way. So you're cutting off maybe, what would you guys say, like 60%? Almost 75% of the coil is just, man, that is, okay, about 15 to 20% probably of that coil is just panned off right on the top. What tonnage is this? 2.5, 3 ton coil, I think. Man. Also, when I pulled out the blower motor, there were a couple of these screws that I found inside the blower housing with a crap ton of rust shavings and everything. I peeked my head inside at the heat exchanger. I didn't see anything noticeable there, but I wonder if some of the screws, you know, while they were doing that, they dropped screws down in and it had just been falling around in there for God knows how long. I wonder if one of those screws finally like fell into the motor and that's what caused the issue. Maybe it's a stretch, could be a stretch, I don't know. But that's just where my mind was going when I kept, even when I was putting the blower motor back in, I did it twice. I put the blower motor in and like had to shake it up and down to get it past like the set screws right back here that were screwed down. Well, as soon as I got it in there, I'd hear a screw fall inside the blower housing. And I had to pull it out, flip it down, one screw fall out, put it back in, and then do it again. Another screw came out, put it back in there. Last time, didn't hear anything. So, got one job link probe there. One up here. Yes, it would be ideal to just go across the furnace entirely, but I'm not gonna take that reading. If I was to put it like right there, I forgot my light, but like right up in that area, I don't think it'd give me a really good reading, just due to the fact that, you know, that spot is panned off. So I'm gonna let this run for a minute, but I think I'm gonna have to gauge up because this is looking pretty terrible right now. But I'm gonna give it a little bit. All right, I've exhausted all options. I do know it's a piston on the inside, and this thing is just showing immediate signs of just being low on charge. Still running a 3-degree temp split. It's just a straight AC system. I got low subcool, high, very high superheat, and with it being 70 degrees outside, this is just I don't know what to do. I think I gotta call my office and see what they want me to do now. Just because I think if I start dumping in refrigerant, I need I'm over the maintenance limit. We were just gonna try to, you know, get them going with the blower motor, but with them needing refrigerant as well, this is just gonna be, I feel bad. This guy's still not gonna have AC this weekend. They're probably gonna have to get him a window unit. All right, so, oh, why is it not reading my all right, so I got the gauges hooked up. I already added in what I needed to add. I had to put about almost 4.5 pounds in there. I did drop the new Calgon Easy Seal in there. Man, I was adding in refrigerant and trying to go off the field piece, like standard, you know, superheat table thing for just trying to figure out if it's got an adequate charge and everything. This wanted me at 20 degrees superheat for a minute, and I'd probably say when I got around 25 was around when I had 4.1. I cracked it open, and then that just dropped all the way to like 0. It was getting so cold. I was like, man, I wonder if that evap coil is just holding in so much cold air, because you know it's panned off and everything. So I stopped at 4.4, and it hit like 19, 18, 17. It just started slowly just dropping. Suction line temp was slowly dropping. So I know that that coil being panned off is definitely a type of issue, because I'm still only getting like a 15-degree split, but my superheat is just starting to drop. Even right now, the phone says 11.4. That is starting to get close to 9, and it's just slowly dropping. I'm gonna hope that that easy seal fixes whatever leak is in here, but I've pretty much done all I can do. Let's go see how much the thermostat has gone down since I turned this thing on. It started at 77 degrees. We're at 75, so it's dropped 2 degrees in the house so far. I'm gonna leave it where it is, and I'm gonna call that a success, honestly. Took a unit that was pretty much cracked. I mean, I don't know how. I'm glad I was able to at least figure out the diagnosis and get everything going. It's sad that there's so much wrong with this unit. I almost wasn't able to get it all fixed today, but our secretary was able to call the property manager and get approval on site. So this guy's gonna at least be able to be comfortable all weekend. Again, hopefully the dye does its job. But man, I've been here since 8:30. Problem after problem after problem, but that's how it is sometimes. That's how it is. So I'm gonna clean up here, write up this invoice, get this thing all filled out, and I'm going to head over to my next call. I've got like nothing but PMs the rest of the day, so I'm gonna try. I'm like 2 hours behind already, but it's Friday. What else? I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll catch you all on the next one. Thanks for sticking around. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Share this with a friend if you think this was entertaining or even just informative. Don't care. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Peace. And before somebody asks me exactly how would that work on a gas furnace as far as the heat side goes, all you have to do in that situation is reconfigure your thermostat to make it think that it is an electric heat or heat pump system, so that way the thermostat controls the G call. That's how that would work. So if this was like the fall time where we're kind of cold, kind of warm, whatever, and I didn't know when I would have to be back to this house, I would flick the switch on the back of the thermostat, changing it from a heat pump to a straight A, or changing it from a gas furnace to an electric heat or heat pump type system. That's how that would work.